Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and I have a video for you today in the Tier 8 American Submarine, the Salmon. That's what I'm going to call it, Salmon, unless it's pronounced differently. I have no idea. This is a battle maybe almost a week ago, or more so, on the public test server, as I was earning some community tokens and also testing out submarines. Those of you who have been around on the channel long enough know that from time to time we've had a discussion on submarines. I'm not going to do that quite in this video, but I'm just going to share my experience when I was on the public test server playing submarines in ranked and also against them in ranked as we look towards this upcoming season of ranked on the main servers. And what might you as a player expect? And then in tomorrow's video, Saturday's video, I will be going over the commander skills and what the upgrades are that they're giving for you for submarines, and I can share my thoughts on what ones I think are good, what ones I think are meh, and what ones I think are just bad. So that'll be in tomorrow's video. And this is the Friday video going up, but I have a special surprise for you guys. I'm going to have another video go up a little bit later today. And that video is a really good battle. But there's actually two things I'm going to say in it. I'll go ahead and say it now. One is, thank you for helping us reach 300 subscribers. That just happened, I think, last night or today. And then I kind of reached a milestone with the channel in general. But that will be in the next video that comes out later today. And this is a video replay that I'm going to send into Jingles. Every second counts in that battle, so it's a really good one. So if you want to see that one, make sure to catch a little bit later today on the YouTube channel. That video will go up. But for this battle, we are on Tears of the Desert, also known as Tears of the Cruisers, in domination mode. So I'm booking along, I spawn on this flank, and I'm just kind of testing what the submarine can do and what I feel like it can't do very well. So for example, there's these planes coming in, and I'm like, oh, if I dive. So now it tells me submarine is out of reach of surveillance radar. So this is at 24 meters down. However, if planes fly right on top of me right now, I'm still detected. I have to go reach down to maximum depth, I think 50 meters down, and then I will not be detected by planes. Yeah, so there's the planes, and then I already get the penalized. So if you look on the center right screen, you can kind of see that orange on my timer is ticking down a little bit faster because I am detected. And now that the planes have less my detection range, my batteries are decreasing at a normal rate. I think what they've done this time around with the subs and having a timed a limit of how long you can be underwater is really good. That was really one of my biggest complaints during the last iteration of testing with submarine battles when that was on the main server. That was one of my frustrations. So now here you go. Submarine is invisible to enemy ships and aircraft. So submarines, they can't stay underwater the whole time, because you'd have players who just stayed underwater the whole time and it dragged out a randoms battle for the full 20 minutes and they just wouldn't show themselves at the end. It was really frustrating. Now you can actually surface, like I'm going to surface here, and then you're going to see that I'm going to start recharging that time. So you do want to save your dive capacity as much as possible in the beginning. Here I'm just testing some things out. You saw me launch some preemptive torps. My goal was to launch them and then ping the Bismarck. And then I was going to hook the torpedoes in on him. But underwater, I couldn't see that the island is right there and the Bismarck was hiding behind it. So now I'm just going to enter the cap, and I'm going to dump some preemptive torps on this side of the island and maybe the other side. I don't know if I dumped it on the left side or not. But I'm giving some distance, and so now I just kind of see my being as cap control. I need to take the cap. My friendlies are detected. They're getting shot at, reset. So I'll just stay dark and take the cap. Now, with the American submarine, and I think also the German as well, you can also fire off these weird torpedoes. So I'm trying to do that here on this enemy sub coming up. Now you have seen I haven't used the sonar except once when I was trying to do it underwater on this Bismarck. If like let's say for example, if I fired torpedoes towards this Bismarck, like if he came out on the island, I wanted those torpedoes to hit him. But now that if I would have pinged, sonar pinged the sub, my torpedoes would have gone off course and hit the island. But he's come off out on this side of the island, so right now you can see I got the ping, my torpedoes are going in, and I just begin to submerge just as he's about to enter my detect range. So that's a great way of increasing your battery life. Now you can see I got a double ping on the hull there, and then I have this detected on the top right of the screen.
Don't fire at your allies.
And I guess my rear torpedoes hit an ally. And that is the, if you look down at my consumables, it's the T consumable, or subs for like, yeah, now you see me doing the same thing. It's the submarine off to my left there who's picking me up with that range. I don't remember the name of the consumable, but we'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. But he's able to pick me up for, I think, yeah, hydrophone for like roughly 30 seconds as that ping goes out. And I was trying to reverse maybe out of that range. The Bismarck already went down. You can see the Baltimore's going down, and now, oh, and we have a friendly right above us. And they've also had a submarine go down. Now there were a couple bots, I think, on either team in this battle, but now, you know, we took the cap. You know, we didn't get any torpedo hits outside accidentally hitting a friendly, and now there's no enemies on this flank, so we're like really far away and out of the battle. So now it's like having to reposition ourselves. Now that, you know, the enemy team's kind of folding fast, you know, there goes the enemy Talon. Yeah, so now I'm just kind of looking around on the submarine, trying to figure out, you know, how does it look. Note that the kind of like, oh, I don't know what to call it, the conning tower in the center. If you're like periscope depth and it's kind of sticking out of water, if you hit a friendly, like it will be like you rammed them. I was playing a battle last night on the main server in Friesland, and Friesland's really weird when you're using your anti-submarine warfare, ASW, the depth charges, because they don't fire off the rear of the ship, they fire off the bow of the ship forward, and then they go like, oh, I don't know, like half a kilometer in front of you, something like that. So that's really weird to get used to. I wasn't expecting that when I was trying to kill a bot sub. Anyhow, yeah, we're talking about the Salmon. So I played the Tier 6 subs. I played Tier 8 subs. I didn't stick around long enough to actually get up to the Tier 10 subs on the public test server, just because for me, submarines, I feel like to me they're just kind of, they feel boring to me to play. That's just my personal preference. I'm sure there are others of you who love subs and all that, but like this was a battle where like the only thing I contributed was I got some sonar pings, a tiny bit of spotting damage, and I got a solo cap. That's really all I end up contributing in this battle, and we're actually going to interact with the CV down here, so you'll see what happens there, and I'll talk about it. But to me, I like a bit more interaction, so I've been playing a lot more destroyers lately, so there's just more to do when it comes to submarines, because submarines, like in ranked, the upcoming season, I would say that, you know, if you decide like, hey, I want to test out submarines in ranked, you're going to find that from my experience so far, that your influence in the battle is going to be rather limited. You're not going to feel like you perhaps contribute a lot outside of maybe if it's towards the end of the battle and you get some solo caps and you're kind of evading the enemy, and let's say there's only a few of them left and you went on caps. But that's, to me, I don't think you're going to have more ability to have an influence in ranked, especially in destroyers. And it might be that, you know, if submarines aren't your thing, you're kind of like, hey, how is ranked going to go this season? Now submarines are here. You know, maybe it's time, if you're not a big destroyer player, test out destroyers, because I think all of them should have the anti-submarine warfare. And that will kind of give you an idea of what's going on. One of the things that's troublesome, well, it's not troublesome. We're going to go over the dev blog on the submarine changes, because with this video to what submarines are now is different. Like torpedoes, for example, go a heck of a lot faster. And so I think there's a main reason I think why Wargaming did that, but I'm not entirely sure. There's probably some other things I'm not aware of. But here you can see I was almost about to get this assisted cap. But we have the our Parseval, so it's a human player. And I'm going to ping him. Now this is one of the bad things, submarine and carrier interactions. So I got one hit. I'm going to ping again. And it says sonar ping neutralized. So that means he's got his DCP, damage control party, going. And the damage control party, it's already automatically done on the CV. And it goes for like a minute. So your torpedoes can't home in on an enemy carrier. And you can see I'm going to try just pinging it again. So it means it's really difficult and hard for you to kill. Basically, you just have to be like get more up on the surface and dump your torpedoes. And I'm still trying to figure out here if his DCP is going down. But it's frustrating as a submarine player interacting with aircraft carriers. So there's a little bit of a glimpse there of what that looked like. So you can see we did 0 damage. We got 1 solo cap, 7 sonar pings, and there's our free XP, our basics, our experience and credits earning rise. Not a lot, and that was just one of the battles I felt like I contributed very little in. I kind of felt that way in the other battles I played in submarines. I didn't feel like I was contributing a lot. I was usually always towards the bottom of the team. Like, I mean, yeah, when the only thing I did is get a solo cap and no damage, like, this is where I end up on the team score list, which makes sense. Our friendly Richelieu player was really good. Here you can see the team play, potential damage. We had our torpedoes were damaged. We received 4,500 in damage. Because you saw how we were interacting with the enemy carrier. I was kind of interested to see the secondaries like hitting the sub. And you can see when we were surfaced, even then, we were actually taking a fair chunk of damage in a rather short amount of time. So I have to see how submarines look like going forward with their interaction. So yeah, I think I covered everything I wanted to in that video. I will talk about the commander skills in tomorrow's video, being Saturday's video, where we'll kind of pick them apart, talk about the good ones, talk about the bad ones. We'll go over the upgrades, and maybe even the differences between the American subs and the German subs, because there's some difference in there, and actually that's going to be in the blog. So we're going to go ahead and hop over into the blog now, and we'll talk about that. All right, so looking at the World of Warships development blog, this came out on August 6th. It was the 10.7 changes to submarines. Changes will be applied to torpedoes and the hydrophone consumable for all submarines. So those were the two main changes from going from the public test server to the main servers. They changed things a bit more than what I thought they would if they did make any changes, because usually if they're testing something on the public test server, it doesn't really go through a bunch of changes once it hits the live servers. But of course, this is a new class of ships we're talking about and being introduced into the game. So naturally, Wargaming wants to try to possibly do their best to balance it. Yeah. So the first list up is the German submarines. So they start off at Tier 6. So if you're Tier 4, you'll be avoiding submarines if you're curious. German submarine U-69 Tier 6. Change of parameters of torpedoes. Basically what happened is for all the German subs and American subs is that their speed in their torpedoes got increased. The American torpedoes go faster than the German torpedoes. And then I think the maximum damage is more on the American subs than the German subs. So it's a straight 7,833 all across the board there. Here it goes up in layers as you go from Tier 6 to Tier 10. So let's talk about why the difference. So the difference of why, one of the main things I think, there's some players I saw that were salty about this, like, hey, like our speed's not as fast. We do less damage than our American submarine counterparts. Like, what the heck is going on? So one of the things I've understood, and we will definitely check it out in tomorrow's video, is that on German submarines, when you have your forward torpedo tubes, or all your torpedoes in general, you can empty multiple sets of your torpedoes and they will be reloading simultaneously. So if I fired off 2 sets of my, let's say my U-190 torpedoes, they're going to be reloading simultaneously versus like the American submarine, like the Salmon, where if I fire off both sets, one set reloads, and then once that set's reloaded, then the second set will then begin to reload. So basically, it means in German submarines, you can fire off your torpedoes more. Your torpedo output is higher than your American torpedo output counterpart. So that's why, one, they didn't give it as much of a speed buff compared to the American torpedoes, and that's why they didn't give it as high as damage as the American torpedoes. Because you're able to pump out more torpedoes than what you are able to in the American submarines. Just that's my understanding and iteration when I'm looking at that. That's kind of what I'm gathering when comparing the two. And we'll go over that together in tomorrow's video and make sure that's all correct. Because last I knew that it was the way it was intended and that's how it's going. You can also see they changed the detectability range of the torpedoes. So like here it's 1.5 to 1.9, 1.7 to 2.1, 1.7 to 2.2. And I imagine why they increased the detectability range of the torpedoes is because the torpedoes are going so much faster now, right? So with the torpedoes going faster, players have less of a chance to react to them if they had kept the detectability range of the torpedoes same as before. But now that they're increased the detectability range of torpedoes, it gives players a little bit, like they're trying to keep it the same. Like maybe you have somewhat the same reaction time. With such a huge step increase in the torpedoes, I don't really know how much the buff, nerf, I guess I'll call it, buff for surface ships, of increasing detectability range, like how much more of a time reaction do you have, or if it's like the same, basically. Yeah, this is crazy. I think you can get these to like 94 knots. I'm trying to remember, or if I did that with these torpedoes. We'll look tomorrow together. Because even after you have, this is, the base speed, but then there's some things you can do to help increase the speed of your torpedoes. The next thing they did was the maximum damage increase all across the board. And again, we just talked about that and why I believe part of why that is, of the reasoning for doing it. I don't know. It's still interesting to see because it's really early to tell whether these are necessarily good changes or bad changes. Another reason why I believe they increased the speed of the torpedoes is, for example, I was playing the Tier VI American submarine, and I fired my torpedoes. I can't remember what the range is on the torpedoes at that tier, but I was like sitting there, and it took like I fired them at a battleship bot that was coming in. I don't know, and I think almost max range. It felt like it took like a minute or so before the torpedoes eventually reached him, and it's a bot Tier 6 battleship, so he's not moving very fast in my direction. But it felt like it took the torpedoes forever to get there. So I think that's kind of why, one of the reasons why they also increased the speed was because you had to keep pinging like repeatedly to keep your torpedoes locked on. So if your torpedoes are going faster, you don't have to keep continually focusing on that one target because your torpedoes are now going to arrive faster. So I think that's part of the reason why they increased the speed of the torpedoes. And then now we have the changes to the hydrophone consumable. So I'm trying to go from the top and bottom every time we talk about different ones. So the action time of the consumables increased from 45 to 60 seconds, 45 to 60, 45 to 60. Americans got 30 to 45. Okay, so yeah, it's 30 to 45. So that, I think it was a German sub that was hydrophoning me. So in that video, or we just watched, it was the 45 seconds is how long I was activated, unless I got outside of his hydrophone range, because that's also different. Detection of ships we reduced. Let's see, 7.5 to 6, 8 to 6.5. Okay, so this is for the hydrophone consumable. So you don't detect as far out. So that one submarine that was detecting me, I guess it would have been the U-190 that was detecting me. You know, he was detecting me pretty good distance away, and I don't think I was able to detect him back. Yeah, 7.5. He was getting me at 8. So now they've reduced how far away you can detect ships. But okay, so let me take that back. So there's a change with the detection range of ships. So when they say this, I'm assuming they mean surface ships and then submarines. So they had 2 changes to that. So that's also the same. Interesting. So my understanding probably of why Wargaming is doing this, why they're wording it differently, keeping it separate, is that there may be at some point the hydrophone consumable, they'll change the range for a ship for it to detect. Like maybe you detect submarines further out than what you do surface ships. So I think they're giving themselves some wiggle room to change on this later on. So that's really what's going on here. I don't really spend much time on this. There's a lot of other WoW's YouTube content creators covering these things. But I just kind of wanted to, show you that video. And now what's changed is from that going onto the main servers is the speed of the torpedoes, the detectability range of your torpedoes. Your torpedoes do more damage. And also I apparently skipped over the reload time of the torpedoes. Okay, so they only did that on the American subs. And I'm assuming, again, it's only for these 2? Yeah, I'm going to assume they did that since your torpedoes, they don't reload simultaneously like the German submarines do. So they're just trying to maybe balance them a little bit better. But yeah, this, you can push these torpedoes over 90 knots. That's going to be interesting. So yeah, so we'll see what happens in the upcoming ranked season in regards to submarines. Yeah, I'm not trying to be negative or anything like that. I'm not necessarily excited to see subs in ranked, just because I think there's still a lot of changes and things going through with them. One of the things I did want to mention, I don't know if I actually said that in the video or not. I meant to, and that is when you are playing in ranked, you're going to come across a lot of submarine players, you can keep in mind these players are brand new to subs, that are going to be kind of struggling a little bit in ranked, so they won't quite know how everything works about their ship. So you might get some battles where it's just like, wow, killing submarines is like really easy. Wargaming Police buff or something like that. It's just players getting used to a new class of ships, and so their impact on the battle, I think, in the ranked season, at least maybe the first part of it, is going to be rather limited, as a lot of players just begin to figure out all the parameters of their ship, the effectiveness of their ship, so on and so forth. So on that note, we will wrap up this video. So if you liked today's video, today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more, and if you have already subscribed, I really appreciate it. It's really cool to reach 300 subscribers now on the channel. And don't forget, we will be having another video come out a little bit later today of a really epic battle that I think you're going to really enjoy, especially if you like seeing battleships brawl. You're going to see brawling happening in this randoms battle. So until next time, take care.